Okay, everyone, welcome along to another episode of Championship Drill. We're the three of us, that's Jerry and Phil, who join me as always, talk about the EFL Championship. Good weekend, lots of ups and downs this week, and it's, of course, the last week before the next international break, which is the third one already since the season started. But we'll begin, I suppose, with what now seems like it's going to happen, which is, we talked about it already a couple of times, so we won't spend too long on it. Is the takeover of Derby. The money was accepted. I think it's £66 million.
Yeah.
Derby are bottom of the league after results yesterday. So what can we expect from the takeover? I mean,
the manager will be sacked.
Yeah.
I think. Obviously, their aim will be to get as far up the table as possible. As we know, a playoff is still possible.
Yeah. You'll see some big players suddenly going to Derby.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be like they've only got one transfer window to do it this year, and it does take a bit of time, because we saw even when Man City and Chelsea got mega bucks into their clubs, it wasn't something that happened overnight for either club. It took a few years, and they were already Premier League teams, where Derby are bottom of the Championship.
Yeah, the goal should be not to go down, to be honest.
It's going to take them a bit of time, but I suppose it's going to be exciting news. We were talking during the week, is it Wayne Rooney is likely to take charge at least this season?
Yeah,
I think that's such a bad move, lads. I remember we spoke about it in numerous episodes. Like, why? If we're talking about probably United's best striker because of what he's done goal tally wise, and like an England legend, like, but. I don't know. I just think it's a bad move. Like, I don't think he's finished playing yet. Obviously, when he left Everton and went he was back in America for a while and he came back. I think it's just a wrong move for him. Like, you know what I mean? I understand there's no pressure because they're bottom of the table, like, and their aim is to keep him up and stuff. But, Wayne Rooney, for me, he's a legend. You know what I mean? But, like, I still think it's a bit early for him to go into management as a player manager. Like, it just never seems to be the right thing to do. Like, you know what I mean? Derby are a massive club. They should really look at their long-term manager, like, when that takeover is made. Yeah. So stick it out for now, like, but, like, look at that long-term manager, like,
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would be a case of bringing someone with a bit more experience in first.
Yeah.
Maybe becoming like an assistant.
Steve Cottrell.
Plenty, as you know, lads, there's plenty out there. Like, as you said, Steve Cottrell, he could do the job.
How many times does he come in, like, with Harry Redknapp and stuff like that?
Well, there you go. There's another one, Harry Redknapp, who's not shy of spending money in a transfer window.
Even someone like Mick McCarthy, like, or I know Mick is gone now. Actually, sorry, Mick has opted off for his offshore accounts. But look, I just think Derby, they should not bring in Wayne Rooney as a manager, like, or caretaker manager. Like, I still think you can play the game. And I mean, it doesn't make sense. I think since we mentioned this, maybe episode 2 or 3, we're on about Rooney this and Rooney that. Like, I just think he should stay away from that position. Focus on his last year or two, and maybe do something else. But, like, I don't think he should take that position. He probably will. Obviously, it's going to happen. Like,
well, he might take it for a few games.
Yeah. It'll be tough to turn down, though, won't it, when you have that kind of money behind you?
And the issue is the games are coming so quick and fast at Christmas, they could be in real trouble.
Yeah, because they don't look good.
Yeah.
We'll move away from Derby. We'll be talking about their game a bit later on. And now we're 11 games in. We're at the next international break. So before we go into the weekend games, I just wanted quick predictions from you on the 3 to go up and the 3 to go down based on what we've seen so far.
To go up, I'd say Bournemouth, Watford, and I'd say all 3 that went down.
Yeah, Bournemouth, Watford, Norwich.
Yeah.
You say teams to go up or down, Steve?
Oh, both. We'll do up first.
Yeah.
I think Watford, Norwich, and I just have a feeling Reading are going to slip off into the playoff.
Yeah, I think so.
So I'm going to say Watford, Norwich, and maybe Swansea.
Yeah. I think I'm with you. I have a feeling, just watching Swansea play a lot, that I think Watford, the way form they're in, Norwich seem to be able to get results in the big games.
Yeah.
They do.
I think Watford and Norwich, and I do think it'll be between, like, the likes of a Bournemouth or a Swansea or even a Brentford, who are not far off the playoffs, even though they haven't kicked on yet.
Yeah.
But I do think it'll be Swansea, get that third spot. through the playoffs. What about going down?
I reckon
Sheffield Wednesday. Sheffield Wednesday, Rotherham,
Yeah.
and I know you're going to hate me, but I say Wycombe.
They have to be the favourites to go down, sadly.
Yeah. I reckon Rotherham was the team I was going to say, unfortunately. Wycombe.
Yeah.
I just have a feeling that Coventry might go down, even though I don't want them. Like, these are the teams I don't want to go down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When I say it, like, I'm like, I don't really want it to happen. Same with
Yeah.
Watford and Norwich. I don't want to see them back in the Premier League.
Yeah.
I'd rather see Bristol City, Stoke, and Brentford, but realistically, like, Watford and Norwich are coming strong. Like, these boys went on that little run. They're very hard to beat. Like, I think Swansea will sneak it.
They might. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
I think Wycombe might go down. I think Coventry and obviously Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, I think very similar again to you, Jerry. I think Coventry, as good as they are, they're just losing way too many games. As much entertainment as they're giving us.
Yeah, but a lot of wounded soldiers. A lot of wounded soldiers.
Yeah.
And Wycombe, I think, just they're going to struggle, and Sheffield Wednesday as well are, even though they're kind of climbing up the table a little bit now. We'll wait and see. But obviously, like you said as well, Phil, Derby are gonna, new owners or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all the
But
players.
they're the kind of team that could go on a 10 match winning streak.
Yeah.
They could. So we'll wait and see. But I do think Coventry, Wednesday, and Wycombe are going to be
definitely
free to go down. I think Rotherham might stay up just because I'd like to think one of the teams that came up will stay there.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny, lads, that we're on about these teams, right? But I think we all predicted at the start Barnsley would go down. No, Barnsley are 16th. They're 1 point off 12th.
Yeah. They could still go down. I still think they'll be closer to the bottom than the top at the end of the season.
They'll end up where they are, I'd say.
But but the new manager seems to be turning things around there, which is great, because they were in real trouble a few weeks back.
Yeah.
And same with Forest. I suppose Forest we never thought would go down, but they've climbed. It was a big game for them yesterday, really, because they would have gone, I think, dropped below Wycombe had they lost yesterday.
Yeah, they would have. Yeah. They're on 12 points. They're just above the relegation zone, just above Coventry. But the goal difference is coming down. Obviously, they're -3. Three wins, 3 draws, 5 losses. It's I think Chris Houghton will do a good job there. They'll be on the.
This international break is going to be a massive for everyone.
It will.
Like as Georgie was saying the other day, like that, like when they come back, half the players not even at the club because they're all over the place.
Yeah. Some are, like, you've some clubs that have a lot of internationals, and then you've other clubs that have basically got in an English 11 who are nowhere near the English squad.
Yeah.
They can just work with them for the week, give them a bit of an advantage. And I think Huddersfield are kind of one of those teams we saw. After the last international break, it was obvious the manager had time to actually work on stuff with them.
And this time as well, there's 3 international games.
Yeah, which is crazy. And then, with COVID still flying around the world, especially across Europe.
I know Ireland.
What players are going to come back with.
I know Ireland are playing England.
Ireland playing England in a big one, yeah.
Not even RTE.
So it's strange that they've added an extra international game to the 2 that they're already playing.
Yeah.
Again, with COVID and with everything else, it just seems really strange that they're doing that.
Yeah, it's weird.
They want us all to feel normal again,
Well, that's it. I mean, the UK has gone into lockdown now as well as us, so sport is something I suppose we can at least watch and look forward to somewhat. But we'll wait and see what happens. What players have to isolate when they come back or not isolate, we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
But if we move ahead to the weekend games, and we start with Cardiff, Bristol City.
Yeah.
Which was the Friday game. A very early goal from Martin in this one. I think 2 minutes in. O'Dowda did very well to get the ball.
Yeah.
Semeydo, who kind of turned the game midweek, was enough for a win. But what did the manager say? Neil Harris, Cardiff manager, said it felt like he'd had his wallet nicked out of his pocket.
Yeah.
Last Friday night. They absolutely battered Bristol City.
Yeah, and they just couldn't score.
They just couldn't get the goal.
Yeah.
they had more possession. They had much better chances. No, that's not to say Bristol didn't have other chances. They did.
Yeah.
But Cardiff were just so good Friday night.
Yeah.
And they lost. And that's kind of, I know we talk about them like that every week and that they need consistency.
Yeah.
But
they're so unpredictable. Yeah, it sucks.
It's unbelievable. Like, I think I was talking to you, Phil, was a Friday night when the game was going on.
Yeah.
It was when it was nearly over, and I was saying they'll play shit now after the international break and win 2-0.
Yeah, exactly.
You could only imagine the dressing room, Steve. Imagine after that result, like losing 1-0 to Bristol City. Who are a good side, by the way.
Yeah.
The dressing room. How can you bounce back from that in a sense? You know what I mean? You know, you played so well. You had the most of possession, more shots. You know, obviously the early goal killed it, but it's very hard to bounce back from that. Like, you know what I mean?
But the international break will actually help in this way, I think.
Well, yeah, but I'd say poor Harry Wilson sitting on his little locker saying, you know, what have I done? Like, you know what I mean? You know, I've gone from playing in the Premier League to the Championship. But yet again, the Championship is such a solid league. You know what I mean? But I'd say results like that definitely drive you insane. Like, imagine being a top player losing 1-0 like that. Like, it's hard for a manager to give answers. You know?
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, like, Cardiff are now in 15th.
Yeah.
You know, they're just so up and down.
Bristol City are 5th as well.
Bristol City 5th, and they're still going well after their blip that they had. They've kind of won 2 games in the last 3. Is it that they're after?
Yeah.
Coming out with there now since they kind of didn't have a win in a while, like.
Yeah.
So it's looking better for Bristol again. O'Dowda is really in good form, and Semeydo as well. They just look so good going forward when they have the two of them involved.
Yeah.
Fitness there.
I don't know. Cardiff are going to have to definitely work on some things because they're not scoring when they're on top in games, and in this league you have to do that. And we've seen it in the game we're going to come on to next. It was exactly the same thing basically. In the Reading Stoke game, where you just, when you're on top in a game of football, no matter what level it's at, whether it's, you know, an amateur game or whether it's a professional game, you have to score when you're on top.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you could be in trouble. And Cardiff just could not get a goal yesterday, no matter what they did. But that's down as well, I suppose, to Bristol doing well at the back.
Yeah,
most definitely.
So we move on to the other one, which was the earlier kickoff yesterday, which was the Reading Stoke game. Campbell, Fletcher, and Brown for Stoke. Yeah. Reading, though, insane chance conversion rate coming into this game. I think it was just under 20%. Of the chances they were taking, which I think the league average was somewhere around 11-12%, was kind of the team that finished the best last season with conversion of chances, which I think was actually Bristol City. But for Reading to be up near 20%, they were never going to be able to keep going.
No. I think the actual international, again, I keep saying it, but the international break has come at a good time for them because they've conceded 9 goals in 3 games.
3 defeats in a row.
Yeah, and they've
they do stay top, but they were 7 points ahead not that long ago. 3 games ago, before they started this one, they had a 7-point lead. It's down to 1 now. And it's only because of the Swansea result that we come to later that they are still top of the table.
It's that Stoke team are brilliant, lads. I think they're really starting to gel. Like, Stephen Fletcher is a hidden gem. That guy has always scored goals, you know, in the Premier League, in the Championship, still doing the job. Tyrese Campbell looks a good player. Like, and the hidden son there in that team is James McLean. Like, you know what I mean? He's really grafting hard for Stoke.
Yeah,
he's got a point to prove. There was a lot of criticism there about 2 seasons ago. He was on loan last season to West Brom, I think, but like the fans were kind of on his case when he was at Stoke at first. You know what I mean? I think he's really putting the critics right now.
Yeah,
he's keeping the head down. He's staying out of trouble, and we know what he can do, lads. You know, if he's playing on a wing or he's playing centre midfield or just outside the strikers, he's really pulling the graft, you know what I mean? And Obi Mikel is Obi Mikel. Like, we all know what he can do, lads. You know, it's this Stoke team, they're no mugs, you know what I mean? Michael O'Neill knows what he's doing. Yet again, they could be dark horses, like, they're just outside the playoffs. They're coming strong and they're gelling well, you know what I mean? I think Reading has got a good start, but it's no surprise.
How many shots on goal did Stoke have? Like 4?
I think they might have had 4 shots on goal, and all 3 goals they scored yesterday were mistakes at the back from Reading, especially the Fletcher goal and the Brown goal. They were kind of awful mistakes.
Yeah.
But I think it was like Reading were just so on top, didn't take their chances, and I think Stoke's first shot on target, Campbell put it into the back of the net.
Yeah.
after a poor clearance at the back, poor headed clearance at the back. But the second half, again, when it was 2-0 and Reading coming out into the second half, looked like they were going to get back into it, but they had all the possession. But it was, when I was watching this game, it was all between the kind of halfway line and the edge of the box. And I've seen only highlights of Stoke this season, but I watched this game, and they had a guy at the back, Soutter, who's born in Scotland, but he plays for Australia now. He used to play underage for Scotland. 6'7". He's 22. He made his debut for Stoke earlier this season, having come from, I think he was at Dundee United or at Dundee up in Scotland. He came down and he went on loan when he first came to Stoke, and he made his debut early this season where he was man of the match. So he's played most of their games this season, but he was unbelievable. Anything that came into the box, he was just clearing away, and he just looks like one hell of a find for Stoke. He was just sensational yesterday at the back, and Reading never looked like scoring because they were lumping the ball into the box. And when you have a defender who's 6'7" and you have two defenders near him who are both over 6 foot as well, you're not going to win too many headers in the box. So it was a strange one. Like you said, Stoke up to 8 now. Reading stay top, but Stoke again, international break, maybe at the wrong time. And like you signalled out McLean there again yesterday, like I said, he works. That's something you can never say he doesn't do. He gives everything for the team.
Quality player.
Quality. He's really, really good.
We move on then to the Birmingham Bournemouth game. Which was not a good one for Birmingham really. And Danjuma and 2 from Brooks from Bournemouth. Hogan pulled one back. Bournemouth were kind of on top from the start really in this one, and probably could have won this 4 or 5-1 really. They had some great chances they didn't take.
Solanke missed a great chance.
Again, Stanislas was great for them. Solanke was good. Great pass from Stanislas in the lead up to the first goal. I don't know. There's not a whole lot to say about this game really. Birmingham just didn't look good today.
It's good to see Hogan scoring.
It is.
I know you were on about him last week saying he needs to get more.
It's now's the time to kick on. But David Brooks was the changer for Bournemouth lads. He was brilliant. He's kind of just out in the wing on the flank, but he changed the game. You know what I mean? It's yet again the results no surprise. Birmingham are kind of playing well. I think they'll be grand, but Brooks was the changer. Possession wise, it was all Bournemouth. You know what I mean? I think Birmingham had 3 shots on target throughout the whole game, but it just goes to show.
I mean, Birmingham slipped down now to 17th. I mean, it's 4 defeats in 7 games for them, whereas for Bournemouth, it was their second win in 7 games. They've been drawing. I think we talked about it midweek. They've been drawing way too many games. So they need to bounce back. They're up to 4th in the table. Too many draws really, and they need to start doing what they did yesterday. Basically, when they're on top, getting goals and turning it into wins. Because they had I think 4 draws now in their last 7 games as well. But is there any worry for Birmingham? The fact that they are losing so many games, that there's a chance they might.
It's the Christmas period will be crucial.
Do you think there's any chance that they could be an outside bet to go down, or will they be too good and too strong for some of the weaker teams?
See, they're still scoring goals. They're still they're nipping away. So I think that'll be vital. That'll be a big thing. It could be the case of a goal difference at the end of the season, keeping team up. You know what I mean? I think they'll be fine. They're scoring goals. Scott Hogan scored now, which is encouraging. They have a strong enough team. I think they'll be thereabouts.
They have a good manager as well.
Yeah. They really do. So we move on into the Blackburn QPR game. Breherton and 2 goals from Armstrong, who was kind of surprised he was back, but Blackburn fans be delighted he was. Dykes from the spot for QPR. Blackburn, I suppose, dominated the first half really without much happening. They had 3 or 4 good efforts in the first half. And I suppose they would have went in at half-time somewhat worried because they haven't been scoring goals. So I suppose having Armstrong back, they always had a chance. And it's one of those, again, where you don't take your chances, something can happen. And Todd Kane had a great chance for QPR that he smashed off the post. Long before Blackburn took the lead.
Very unlucky.
Armstrong, though, back, they love that. He's got 11 league goals this season and 12 goals in his last 12 games.
Yeah, he's a great player. I think Bradley Johnson, lads, is fantastic. He kind of controls the park. He reminds me of Roy Keane a small bit. Corey Evans is another great player. Harvey Elliott, lads, I'm not being biased because I'm a Liverpool fan, but he's a spark. That man on the pitch is something else. He's really
good yesterday.
He's going to be an absolute worldly, like.
He was. Like you have someone like Armstrong who's just so good at playing off the last man, and is just such a good striker. I mean, when you have teams that are going to be down near the bottom of the Premier League and the transfer window coming up very, very quickly after the Christmas period, is there a danger Blackburn could lose somebody like him?
Not this time. Maybe the summer.
I think maybe he'll stick till the summer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he could be out the gap. January's it's a grueling time. You know, he's clearly championship quality. Like he's one of the best in the championship. You know what I mean?
And January is kind of that kind of transfer window. It's a strange one where it's usually not the top teams that do the business in January. It's more the teams who are struggling that do business in January, because January the prices tend to be even higher, and probably even with COVID and everything, there's probably still going to be that bit higher for teams. But
watch Newcastle come from, Steve.
Yeah, possibly.
Possibly.
Yeah.
QPR are in 18th now. They'd won their last two before this one. Blackburn move up to 12th. And Blackburn seem to be, this season, they go on a run and they get up near the playoffs, and then they just lose that game.
Yeah.
And then draw a game and they drop back down to 14th or 15th, and then they climb again. And, could they be that team that kind of floats around mid-table for this season but makes that late push to the playoffs?
Very possible.
Yeah.
It's very possible, yeah.
They're getting the goals. Do you know what I mean? I know they had a couple of losses there, but they're getting the goals. They impressed us early on in the start of the season. I think if they can keep Armstrong, obviously Harvey Elliott will only get better. Bradley Johnson is solid. They have a really good team, a young team, but they're good. They play attractive football. I think Blackburn could be thereabouts, definitely. 100%.
And for QPR as well yesterday, I mean, it was, they had chances. Chris Willock had a great chance.
Yeah.
They weren't too bad yesterday, and it was one of those where on a different day, the bounce of the ball goes differently. They could have come away with a win or a draw.
Yeah.
So, 2 wins before this. QPR should be all right this season. I can't imagine they're going to be dragged down to the bottom, but...
No. This should be a lot better, though, QPR. Do you know what I mean? They're there long enough. You know what I mean? They're losing a lot of games. Do you know what I mean? It's rare that we're talking about QPR winning 3-4 in a row, Yeah. I mean, we move on now to Brentford home to Middlesbrough, 0-0 draw. One of the 0-0 draws this weekend. It really wasn't a very good game.
No. There's one or two chances that Brentford missed a sitter.
You did miss a great chance, and you don't get many against them. Borough now have 6 clean sheets in 11 games, and they've only conceded 5 goals.
Yeah. They're just missing that killer instinct with a forward player.
And how good could they be? I mean, they're 7th in the table. Without really scoring too many goals. They just don't concede. And they almost nicked it yesterday. I mean, Akpom at the end almost got the winner, which would have been, disaster for Brentford, really.
Yeah.
Brentford, though, they're 3 points off the playoffs, and they haven't really hit form yet this season. Other than, Tony, who's banging in the goals.
Yeah.
The rest of the players have been kind of hit and miss in games.
They might not hit form, Steve. That's the problem. They might just find that little. They might just be here, you know what I mean? Where they're normally here. I think losing, a couple of players, obviously, it's going to affect the team. There's a lot going on at the club, but they might just not kick on a lot. We might just see the case. They're just 8th and 9th, and then they'll kick on next season. But it's a tricky one.
Yeah, and as for Borough, I mean. I think we all think that they have a good chance of making the playoffs, but they really need to find someone to score goals for them.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to get away with it. Their defence has been unbelievable. They haven't conceded 2 goals yet this season in a game. They've conceded 5 goals. They've kept 6 clean sheets. I mean, that's not a run of form they're going to be able to keep up for 46 games. So they really need somebody who's going to score goals if they want to be seriously push for the playoffs this season.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And they've tried, but as long as they're not conceding, I suppose they're not going to lose too many games either.
No, they really are solid in defence. I just think they need that striker. We'll always come to it. Surely there's someone out there that can fill that gap.
Yeah, we move on then to the team that went bottom that we talked about earlier, Derby, who lost at home to Barnsley 2-0. Chaplin and Adebayo got the goals for Barnsley. A deserved win, really, even though Derby dominated the play in terms of possession.
And the first goal was comical.
It was hilarious. But Derby just looked really, really nervous yesterday.
Yeah, they definitely have no confidence going forward.
No, I mean, Tom Lawrence had a good effort, you'd say, that was saved.
Yeah.
But they go bottom. The manager as well, I think, is it the chief executive has COVID or something at the club? So the manager in close contact with him. So Kaku now isolated for 14 days. Whether he ever comes back to Derby now is a different story.
Yeah.
Barnsley up to 16th. Must be delighted with how the new manager is done. I know they lost midweek, his first defeat, but to get another win now again, is it 3 wins in 4 games since he's taken over or something like that?
Yeah. Perfect for any manager to do that.
Yeah. Well, and they're 16th. They're moving away from that bottom 3, and like you said, they'll probably end up closer to the bottom than the top. But it's putting points on the board now for them and getting those points distance between them, like the Coventry and Wickham and Sheffield Wednesday for them.
Yeah.
It's as you said, we said Barnsley were doomed from the start, lads. Every one of us.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, the league came to their rescue by relegating Wigan last season. So we move on then to a team that are kind of, their form has been a bit up and down as well at the moment, is Huddersfield. After going on a good run, Moncur gave Luton the lead. And then a first goal from Meteng, who's on loan from Ajax. A nice header, actually, from him.
Yeah, nice header.
Huddersfield deserved the point, really. And it was kind of a strange one. I think Luton, Moncur had another good chance. And Luton did have good chances as well to maybe go 2 up. Yeah. But in the second half, I don't know, something happened to Karama anyway. And it was like him against Luton for about 20 minutes. Every time he got the ball, he was just driving at him. And he'd either put in a good cross or a good pass, or he'd have a shot. And, they did eventually break him down. And either team, I suppose, could have won this, really.
Yeah.
So they'll be happy enough with a point apiece, I suppose. Huddersfield move up to 13th. Luton drop down to 10th. Yeah. But again, these are 2 teams that I think the goal is to stay up first and foremost.
Yeah.
Every point is
fair. That's all fair. Both teams had enough chances. It wasn't kind of dominated by anyone, really.
Yeah. I suppose the talking point in this game was there have been not as many this weekend, but a few was Corona's offside. Yeah. It was tight. He looked like he might have been offside, but again, we never get those side-on angles.
Yeah.
In the championship, so you're looking not quite across the line, so it's kind of harder to know. Yeah. But it was tight, and the decision didn't go with him. And that was in the first half as well, I believe. So it could have changed the game. But
I tell you, Luton were lucky. Didn't have a few players sent off as well. There was 5 yellow cards for Luton. There was some saucy there as well.
Yeah. And there's a few tasty challenges around yesterday that could have been worse. I think there was one in was it the Millwall game?
Oh yeah.
There was another tasty challenge in that one as well that kind of possibly could have been a red card. That wasn't.
Yeah.
But there we go. And one of the good games yesterday was Norwich-Swansea. Huge win for Norwich. I think in the big games they seem to be able to win 1-0. Yeah. And Jerry, I know you've been talking about Tim Krul all season, and yesterday he made some amount of saves.
Oh, he's a worldly, lads. I'm telling you, how he's not at United or Chelsea or even Arsenal or Liverpool. He's a worldly. He's only that the Championship is such a strong league. That's partially the reason he's still there. But Krul is a legend. He's still quite young. I couldn't believe he was only in his early 30s. The man is incredible. He's probably one of the best penalty stoppers of all time. But he's incredible. Do you know what I mean? He's partially probably the reason that Norwich will end up back in the Premier League, and they've always been knocking on that door. Wes Hogan used to always talk about him, saying the man was just incredible. He's the real life Superman. But he's unbelievable, unreal.
Yeah, and he wasn't he, Phil? Yesterday, he was the reason they won that game because
some of the saves were world class.
Yeah, and Ayew was very good again. Lowe had a great chance again that was saved before Steeperman gave Norwich 3 points. Beneda very good for them.
That's his first goal in 2 years.
Something like that. It was his first goal, yeah, more or less. I think he got a lot of goals the season they went up.
Yeah.
But he didn't really do it in the Premier League. So maybe he's going to get that confidence back, because if he starts chipping in with goals and they have Pukki kind of going well again,
yeah,
and who knows? Like, I think we all think Norwich are going to have a great chance of going up anyway. I think we all picked them to go up again.
Yeah.
But if both teams continue playing like that, like Swansea, it's one of those defeats you just have to take, because you're not going to come up against Tim Krul in that form every week.
Yeah, exactly.
We move on then to a good win, really. Like we talked about it briefly earlier, because I think Wycombe, if they'd won this one, would have went above Forest. They're certainly level with them on points. But it was Forest beating Wycombe 2-0, 2 goals from Taylor. Second win this week for them. And Wycombe's 3-game unbeaten streak comes to an end, sadly.
Yeah, I didn't think I thought they were a bit like toothless yesterday. They weren't great.
They weren't very good going forward, right? They gave it a bit of a go without really getting many chances.
Like they were trying to hit it into the big man, but he just couldn't.
Yeah, like they left him on the bench. I suppose starting 4 games in a row would have been a bit much for him.
Yeah.
But they brought him on, and when they brought him on, like you said, they were trying to find him, and it just didn't work for them yesterday for whatever reason.
Yeah. And their second goal for Forest was absolutely appalling defending.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Wycombe, that's the thing with Wycombe, is they were on this nice run. They got their wins. They're going to stay 22nd. Forest are, 20th. They're not that far ahead of them, but they are 5 points clear of the relegation zone now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you look at Wycombe, and some of the goals they concede aren't great. And when you're a team that's struggling, you can't afford to just give teams goals.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I just the way he just ran right through them all was like, this is really poor.
Yeah, and Wycombe are going to be one of those teams that don't have a whole load of international players going away.
Yeah.
They'll have a few, but
who do they have next?
Work on it. I'm not sure. We'll do the look ahead next week. I'm not really sure who they're going ahead. We could probably get it up online there to have a look. But yeah, it's one of those where they're going to have to work hard, I think, over the international break to try and shore up the defence a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are leaking goals a bit. So we move on into Rotherham Preston. Preston losing away from home.
Yeah. They were shocking yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even the manager was like, "This is disgraceful." The second goal.
So you had Wood and Crooks for Rotherham, Ledson for Preston. And I suppose when Ledson scored, make it 1-1, 10 minutes to go, you probably fancied, maybe Preston to kick on or them to at least get a draw out of it. But like you said, the second goal was awful.
Yeah.
There's no balance there, lads, in that Preston team. No balance at all. It's chopping and changing every week, I don't think he's had the same starting 11 in a long time, Now, I could be wrong, but it's.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about how much trouble Philip Kaku is in, and he is, especially with the new guys coming in and Derby around him. But surely Preston must be having a serious look at their manager as well at this stage, because they haven't won at home.
Yeah.
And their away form has been good, but like you said, they're not doing very well.
No.
You know
what I mean?
They're really poor.
There's no balance there. You look at Brad Potts, Daniel Johnson.
Yeah.
Alan Brown, obviously, we know Brownie, he's working hard there, but they should be a lot better, you know what I mean? And yet again, I'll say it every show, Maguire on the bench, not even coming on. It's
yeah.
For him to not be playing or be involved, there's obviously something wrong in that camp, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a strange one. I suppose, like, they want him to score more goals, but they keep playing him kind of as a target man, which he isn't.
Yeah.
And maybe the manager could be in trouble, who knows?
I think so. I think he could be. If you were to say it to me, Steve, who's the next 2 managers to leave the championship, I would say Derby, without a doubt, with this takeover. I hope Rooney isn't the replacement, because I respect Rooney as a player. But you're looking at Derby and perhaps and Preston.
Yeah.
Then you look at the lights of who's available. You know what I mean? There's some great managers available, lads.
Eddie Howe won't go to the championship.
I don't think so, no. But I think, well, with money maybe, with Derby and all the money maybe, but it's just, you know what I mean? There's some great managers out there, lads, that could come.
Neil Lennon will be there soon, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's going to be an interesting one. Like Preston, like I said, that's 3 defeats in a row now, so they really need the international break. But they do have a lot of players that will be going away, so they won't be able to work on too much.
Yeah.
We move on into Sheffield Wednesday, Millwall 0-0. Wednesday come off the bottom for the first time all season.
Yeah.
Millwall dropped to 9th with a point.
Yeah.
Millwall, though, we talked about it before the season ever started. And, you know, not a lot of people were talking about it at the time. We were talking about how good Millwall are at the back.
Yeah.
It's their second 0-0 draw, I think, this week.
Yeah.
So they're like Borough, they're just so strong at the back. It's 14 clean sheets for Millwall in 2020, which is the most in any of the 4 divisions in England.
Yeah. They were not real defence. Their defence is quality.
Yeah. Now, Wednesday were very unlucky. I mean, they were so on top. And even Millwall's manager after the game came out and said, look, Smith had a great chance, which he'd usually bury.
Yeah.
With a header from that distance because he's so good in the air, messed it up. And he even said, look, if we'd have won that game, it would have been daylight robbery.
Yeah. Yeah. Possession-wise, they were all over them, as you said. Like, yeah.
Yeah. The news, like we said midweek, it does seem like Troy Parrott is going to be back after the international break. Obviously, he's probably going to be on the bench the first couple of weeks till he can get the match fitness up.
Yeah.
But Millwall good at the back, and unlike Borough, they do have players who can score goals, it seems. And if Parrott can start firing, Millwall could definitely push for those playoffs.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure on Troy Parrott, lads. A lot of pressure.
There is. And I suppose that's what you want as a young striker.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of hopes of the Irish national team on him as well, because they don't seem to be able to score a goal either. That they badly crying out for somebody to come in and replace Robbie Keane, but you know, hasn't happened yet. But
we'll never be Robbie Keane anyway.
Yeah. No
one replaces Robbie.
The last game then the weekend is Watford 3, Coventry 2. Gray, Troost, Ekong and a late fire penalty. Watford to win. Hammer and Walker.
I know there's a lot of goals in it, but it wasn't actually that good a match.
I thought it was brilliant, Phil.
No, all the goals came in like a period of time where
they did. Like, I mean, Coventry got 2 in the space of a couple of minutes.
Yeah, there was like 3 goals in like 3 minutes or something.
Yeah, it's a strange one. For them, Watford would be delighted. I think they move up to second in the table now.
Yeah.
With a good win. Coventry again, as they always do, gave it a go, but it's 7 defeats in 11 games now for Coventry.
Yeah.
And only for the 6-point deduction for Sheffield Wednesday, Coventry will be in the bottom 3.
Yeah.
Despite how well they've played this season.
Troy Deeney on the bench.
Deeney on the bench, yeah.
Second half was bench, lads.
They should have gave him the penalty, to be fair. Come on.
Yeah. It was crazy. It was crazy how the game went. But Coventry are always going to entertain us this season. There's no doubt about that. But maybe they need to look at some things if they're losing way too many games.
Yeah, and conceding a lot of goals.
Yeah, and I know it's the way they play, but you know they're in real trouble if they keep going the way they're going. Okay, so 10 to show this week. We won't be having a look ahead to the next fixtures. We'll do that next weekend, and hopefully we might be able to have a guest on to chat with us a bit about the championship. Yeah. So best goal.
Hamer for Coventry.
Yeah, great header.
Yeah. For me, I'm going to go with Brereton again with his scissors kick inside the box because just good skill.
It's very Van Persie like.
Yeah. There were some good goals to be fair, but the header was good definitely as well. The best player this week?
Armstrong.
Yeah. Armstrong and McLean. I have to give James McLean a shout as well, lads. 100%.
Yeah, he was good. And for me, like I said earlier, I thought Soutter was so impressive for Stoke as well at the back.
You said 6'7".
That's 6'7". He's a monster, man. He's built like a wall.
I have to Google him.
Yeah, he's an Australian international now, even though he was born in Aberdeen.
Yeah.
And he used to play underage for Scotland, but he switched to Australia, his allegiance to Australia. Big man. He's not played a whole lot for Stoke. Like this season is kind of his breakthrough. He was very good, but I'm going to give it to Armstrong because Blackburn, they just didn't look like scoring without him. Yeah. He comes back and they get 3 goals, 2 of them from him. So definitely the best team this week.
Forest.
Yeah, Watford for me.
And I'm going to stick with. So I've given Brereton the best goal, and I've given Armstrong the best player, so I might as well give Blackburn the best team. After, a couple of disappointing results to come back and win the way they did. And the biggest shock?
I think Preston result, but not just because of the result, but how they played.
Yeah.
They were really bad.
Yeah.
You have to say Reading. I'd say Reading getting thumped 3-0.
Yeah. I think I'd probably go more with the Reading result as well, just because, again, watching the game, they destroyed them. To lose 3-0 was, not that Stoke are bad, they're not.
Yeah.
But, I go with that as a shock as well.
Yeah. Bit strange, you know what I mean? It's just,
yeah.
No disrespect to Stoke, they're really gelling well, but I just think them being thumped 3-0 was a bit strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a weird one. Okay, we're going to leave it there. So, guys, with a look back this weekend, like I said, next Sunday, we'll hopefully try and get a guest on to chat with us about the championship.
Yeah.
As there's no games next week, we will do that.
We'll try and get Big Mick McCarthy on with us, I'd say. Mick does us a favour.
He does. We'll try and get somebody on to have a chat with us anyway. Yeah. And until then, we'll leave it there, guys, and we'll be back soon.
All right. Cheers.